All right, back-to-back full-length videos by me today. I'm trying to make up for lost time. Going through practically 3 weeks of a unnatural winter storm hell. And 2 really bad toothaches. And a ever-worsening skin condition thanks to the fact I can't fucking shower regularly and take care of this problem that I have. After being lied to while I was in prison in Texas over a speeding ticket, and while I was in county jail. 2 different doctors that had such disdain for me as obviously a piece of shit criminal that hadn't been to court yet when I was in county, and they wouldn't tell me exactly what was going on. They just treated me with disdain and didn't spell out for me what the problem was. So if you have someone, a loved one, that gets locked up, there's a good chance. I got my District of Criminals sign, which seems to be the most popular. The devalue of the currency of the slave dollar by 97%. That one's fairly popular too. What's up? Anyway, I gotta go get something for. I'm gonna have to mix up a compound drug concoction in a cream, basically, because most of it's going to be in cream form. But there's going to be some other things I'm going to have to add to take care of this problem, because they've got a paywall between you and your health, and it's run by the World Economic Forum and the demonic pharmaceutical companies that killed through Purdue pharmaceutical company 500,000 American kids and people overdosed in just 10 years because of the policies that the power of the pharmaceutical industry, and particularly Purdue Pharmaceutical Company, had, using the opium production out of Afghanistan, which shot back up to record numbers after the Taliban had knocked it down over in Afghanistan, because they're against that shit. The U.S. military went in there and protected the poppy farms. Yeah, they burned a couple for some photo ops. But basically what they did was took the opium production in Afghanistan from 5% back to 98% of the world's supply between 2002 and 2010. You're welcome. And then what happened? A Swiss-connected family that owns Purdue Pharmaceutical Company. They're connected to what country, did you say, sir? Switzerland. The home of the devil, if there was one. It depends on if the most powerful family of all the families lives there. I gotta walk all the way down this fucking sidewalk, all the way down there to where you can't see those cars crossing that 4-lane, way the fuck down there. And there's a gas station. I'm gonna buy 1 pack of cigarettes. 1 pack of cigarettes, y'all. I'm not lying about my Christian conservative life all the way up until about 9 to 9.5 years ago, when I figured out the QAnon thing was a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, it's strange how one party was pointing out one party's guilty culprits, and it's convincing because the evidence is there during the QAnon crap. And Mr. Savior Donald Trump was promising to clean it all up, and golly whiz, don't it turn out that everything flips back to where the Democrats are the ones that don't want to look at the Democrats, but they want to point at Trump. Now, some people that are liberal and whatnot, Massey and them, hey, they got the shit to the forefront, but that's just natural. You got Tennessee Brando here in Tennessee that's got 250, 300,000 subscribers. He's a guitar player, musician like me, which breaks my heart that the poor guy hasn't done what most of the rest of the guitar players that are in the truth community, like me, most of which are much bigger. Romley down at Just Indian Deception is a guitar player. You can hear Romley. He's got him playing guitar on an original song called AI Girls at Justinian Deception. Tennessee Brando. There he is. Video number 2. There's a guy that walked out of Panda Express just now. I'm just going to switch gears and tell you this story. I was literally in McDonald's loading up the video that I just previously posted and realized I needed to say a few other things, and I realized I was going to be taking this long walk very casually because I'm in bad shape right now. I got to take this long walk, go get some cigarettes, and most importantly, I got to go see if this CVS has a tube of antifungal cream as big as the antifungal cream tube that I looked at. Well, I looked at the box it was in, so I know about how big the tube was. Way bigger than anything Walgreens had. But the CVS down on Broad Street, which is where I got threatened by Officer Baldwin with a disorderly conduct charge for raising my voice to her for the second time. She didn't give a shit about some kid throwing a bunch of rocks. And I say kid, he might have been of age to get actually charged properly. Throwing a bunch of rocks at my old homeless ass right about 10 minutes after I laid down to go to sleep. I don't know. I lost where I was going. Oh, anyway. So the guy, I'm loading that video at McDonald's, and it's taking a long time. I'm like, they already done kicked me out of there. There's this one kid that has a job at McDonald's there. His uncle is one level up higher manager than he is, but he's like a shift manager, whatever the lower level manager is. But he doesn't like me. I don't know what he's got against me. It could be skin color. It could be I'm poor and homeless. It could be that I'm kind of a character and I talk. I don't know. Whatever it is, he's being a little corporate tool, and he's young, and his uncle is training him properly how to be a little corporate tool and instigate tyranny on people that hadn't committed a crime, certainly. They might be breaking some of your corporate policy by being heard or some stupid shit that you could make up. But as a customer there, just like Walmart, I spent $2,000 at Walmart. Just in the 8 months prior to them, 7 months prior to them banning me a couple of months ago from being able to go to that Walmart. I'm trespassed from that Walmart. I had already boycotted Walmart for about 10 or 15 years because I knew Walmart was a bunch of fuck shit 15 years ago. Before I even started going down conspiracy rabbit holes and figuring out that, oh my God, no wonder they made up the term conspiracy theory. They've got to be able to freaking shut people down with it because there's too much to find. I need new conspiracy theories. All my old ones turned out to be true, except flat Earth, cuckoo and dum-dum. See, that shows your programming. You've been programmed to take conspiracy theory, and every time you hear conspiracy theories, oh my goodness, you're crazy. That's nothing true. I think we've got plenty of evidence now. If you're so narcissistic and greedy and evil and brainwashed that you can't look at what's going on with this Epstein shit. I mean, you got Donald Trump's he's mentioned more than anybody else is in all of those millions and millions of pages of documents that the FBI dropped just in bulk, knowing in a certain way so that it would be hard. They just dump it all on you. So who's going to go and who can read 4, 5, 6 million pages of and with some pictures and shit, but just here it is. They did that thinking, nobody's gonna, I mean, Carroll created that program, him and his buddy, It sounds, from what I heard in the video I was watching, I don't know if it's toward the top. I don't know if I've even saved it, but I was watching one of Ian's videos yesterday, and he apparently all of the documents that have been dumped are attached to their app or their website that they've created. So when you go there or whatever, okay, you automatically, you don't even have to download the documents are already there. And you can go through and say, let's see, Epstein/Bill Gates, personal face-to-face meetings, just as an example. And it will literally pull up all emails, all communications between them arranging such a meeting, as well as where it was, anything that's in the documents that references those keywords you put in. You couldn't do that before Ian and his buddy put this together. Now, why would they do that? I don't know. I think they've got at least 2,000 years of evidence that, especially in Western nations, which, have a pacifier in the form of really shitty nowadays, really poorly built homes, that they put their slave currency, no matter where they are, you're on a slave currency. Dollar is the default global currency, right? But yeah, you got your little creature comforts that the system allows you to have. And the thing is when you really look realistically at everything, all that real wealth is held by the global banking families and the global banks. And it's just wrong, because they've stolen any kind of idea of a sovereign nation with a sovereign people that have sovereign resources and wealth. Goes out the window with every aspect of this system. And you want to wave your flag and say, I'm free? You've bumped your fucking head. John Filax. I'm being naughty. I'm not showing my sign. Hold on. Oh my God. Oh, need new glasses? BP Plumbing. It's in plain view. Alright, so let me hit my vape real quick. And yeah, I mentioned John Filax, and I failed to mention the the video. I did put it in my playlist somewhere. It should be right at the top one, or the second one down, in probably one or two categories. Yesterday, John Filax had a fantastic idea. Everybody should do it. All you Tennessee volunteers. Look, I don't want to get into the details. You Tennessee people, I'm sure you could destroy me, because I haven't studied it. When I don't know something, I admit it. See, that's another good thing about me. I don't know exactly what the Tennessee volunteer thing is in reference to. There could be some shenanigans with that too, because this shit's been orchestrated for thousands of years. So look, but I would like to think spiritually and simplistically from my mind that is Alabama and Georgia and outside of Tennessee, that the Tennessee volunteer thing has something to do with being righteous, moral, and truly about freedom. I'm in Tennessee, y'all. Are there some volunteers? Because definitely Tennessee Brando, with his 250,000 subscribers, is not the one to follow, because he just wants you in one of the two slave camps. He wants you in the left one. There's one on the right side of the road, and there's one on the left side of the road. They're both slave plantations. Do you fucking get it? Doo-Doo and Cuckoo and Juliet with no Romeo, probably. If he is, he's cucked by an evil temptress. Yeah, you guys need to understand that what's going on right now in reality, that everybody with a brain and a heart can see, is that both political parties are and have been controlled by foreign powers. Corporations are foreign powers. Anyway, back to John Filax. John Filax had a fantastic idea, and this is the best idea I've heard out of an auditor in at least a year, which is saying something. As a juror, if you get called in for jury duty as a juror, apparently you have the right under the Constitution to not only vote not to convict someone, but you also, as a jury as a whole, have the power to actually sort of nullify the charge and the constitutionality of the charge, and therefore, kind of symbolically in that moment, in that court case, remove that unconstitutional law. How do you do that? Real easy. If you have jury duty and you're sitting on a jury and it involves a case which is charges against someone where there is actually no living, breathing human being or set of human beings, not one, that is the victim in the crime. If you are on a jury and you're sitting there potentially going to ruin the life of an entire family or an individual over a crime that had no victim, yes, drug charges qualifies that. What you need to do is stand your ground, and your position is the charges are bogus because the law is defunct and doesn't exist under the Constitution. We, the jury, find no fault in the defendant, for he has not committed a crime, because there is no fucking victim. Now, what the state or the federal state is going to say is, oh, the state's the victim. Nope. Can't do that, bitch. Number one, you can't show any damage that was done to the state. Even if we, the sheeple, were to allow you that, you know, even though we don't have to, because it's already codified very simply in the founding documents and the Constitution. But even if we were to do that, still wouldn't work. Why? Because a corporation, like I was saying before, is actually a foreign fucking power. If something that is fictional and does not actually exist, except that it's created by a bunch of rich motherfuckers sitting in a fucking conference room, and then presto, we got ourselves a corporation. Yeah. It is a fiction. Even after it's created, it's a fucking fiction. It's something that isn't tangible. It does not exist, and it is a foreign power. Well, all of these corporations, I'm on a bad stretch right here to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I've been meaning to do it. Stop hitting my vape again. But yeah, shout out to Filax, man. I do think that that's a good idea. You know, shit, I'm a moody son of a bitch, and I can rub people the wrong way, but it's because they don't understand me. If y'all will watch my videos and get to where you kind of understand me, you'll appreciate me. I'm begging the people of Tennessee, and especially the people of Chattanooga, when you scowl at me when you drive by, and I know most of y'all don't do that, okay? I give the benefit of humanity still living in most, but I also at the same time say that the vast majority, most, are programmed and brainwashed to one degree or another. You've got to break the programming. You know, if you're so concentrated only within your lifespan because of what you've allowed yourself to take in as far as history, real history and information, okay, not the propaganda stuff that is going to be given to you by the indoctrination centers called schools. I'm talking about a real education. You've got to study the mechanics of this thing. If you're somebody like Dudu and Cuckoo and Juliet that probably, have never even had the concept in their minds of, gee, I wonder if there's any dots to put together or puzzle pieces to put together in trying to figure out if the people that are in power today are kind of basically just a modern version of maybe even their ancestors in many cases, going back not just decades, not just hundreds of years, but thousands, maybe not tens of thousands, okay, but at least 2, if not 3 or 4 or 5, because it has to go further back than the area that's covered with linguistics and proper translation of the ancient Greek by Dr. Ammon Hillman at Lady Babylon, which blows up the what should have been obvious without having to need this information when you look at the results of what the Western Christian nations have done for greed and money. But going back further than that into Egypt, Dr. Ross, I call him doctor. He's been called doctor. He may have a doctorate degree. I don't think so, but he studied military history. Sean Ross, homie Ross, he goes back into Egypt, and Ammon likes to poo-poo Egypt and say, oh, it's just a bunch of rocks. Oh, so what? Big deal. Their language sucked. Ammon's hooked on language, and that's fine. That's his wheelhouse. But there's a lot of stuff Ammon that's outside of Ammon's wheelhouse that I know, a shitload of stuff, that he hasn't had the time because of his specific narrow study, which is important, but he hasn't seen the connections I have to the same people that he is talking about with the Pelasgians, the Phoenicians, the Druids, the Templars, he's talking about the Abraioi, the Hebrews. The word Hebrew comes out of the ancient Greek, Abraioi. Okay, they were talking about Abraioi. That's where the word Hebrew comes from. Most English words, or big English words, are real specific. A lot of them come from the ancient Greek. Ancient Greek was an incredible language, but outside of that and before that, you had, we got the Egyptian symbols everywhere. So you can't deny that these same people that are these child traffickers, these soul traffickers, were just tied to the Abraioi pirates. It's the same people took all of the esoteric symbols and whatnot from all the pagan religions, and they put it all over their corporations and their banks and everything else. But they also have a lot of Egyptian pyramids and sphinxes and lions. Like I said, all those sphinxes and pyramids and lions that appear all over these Templar commanderies for the military and castles, all these stone building people that showed up. The first castles didn't start showing up in Europe until around 800 AD. There's like 2 or 3 that were like 700s, but right around 1000 is when it exploded, and there's thousands of them literally all over Europe. You're looking at warfare. It's warfare. And technology and creature comforts of time moving on, and these same families making money off of it the whole time, using the fraudulent court language, which came out of Rome. That's why it's the Roman Empire. Using dog Latin. All capitals is dog Latin. What's dog Latin? It's the language for the illiterate. They consider us illiterate. You are the Goyim. The Goyim. G-O-Y-I-M. Goy. It's short. G-O-Y. The Goy. The Catholic Church, the Vatican, all these Jewish rabbis that are in the secret societies also, because they're high up enough in the food chain just within their religion over in Israel or here or wherever. They know this shit. Why do you think Abraham had, he owned slaves? Many of those slaves weren't adults. I'll be damned. Okay, we got theologians, their butt just puckered up a little bit. Yeah. Better pucker that son of a bitch. I got a lot more. Ammon's got the whole damn nuke for you. Y'all don't, he's kryptonite. Y'all can't touch him. Now Ammon is talking about, damn, I don't know if I want to address this. Ammon, please don't bring actual, meaning fictional, non-provable, non-existent as far as I can tell, and I went to Skinwalker Ranch for 2 weeks. You're talking about an inquisitive guy right here. I was 7 or 8 years old sitting on the couch reading the Bible. I'm the only person in my family ever picked the Bible up. I've studied it from that side of the pro side as a Christian more deeply than most Christians and even pastors and preachers ever will. I don't bring anything but the sword of truth. And I don't want that to attach me to Jesus because I know what Jesus was doing. Okay? If you're waiting on Jesus to come save you, that's part of the trick, dummy. They get to be the closest thing there is a fucking God to a God to us, as long as we think that there's a higher being that's going to take care of us. They're going to call out justice. Not so much. Nope. No, they were messing around and shooting the rift, crossing over that veil between life and death, and getting yanked back after they Christed themselves with any number of death-inducing concoctions that ended up being a paste or a oil or an ointment or a salve. Why do you think people would go up and touch Jesus' clothing? They didn't have visions. You can't be a prophet. I don't care if it's Islam, Christianity, worshiping Dionysus, Zeus. You're not going to get revelations from the gods or a god unless you can produce the vision, the image. Know yourself. I saw something on YouTube. The title of the video was "Admit That You Know Nothing." For 99%, that's true. But I had a problem with it when I read it because I've spent 11 years of absolutely draining my energy out of care for my fellow countrymen and women. And what do I get? I get what George Orwell stated I would get. Vilified. You'll be the most hated in society. Was that guy a prophet? Well, he's not talking about seeing some kind of entity or having some kind of supernatural power to float around. I'm really bothered by that because it wasn't presented that way in the Danny Jones. Now, am I going to throw the baby out with the bathwater? No, I think I've seen sufficient proof that when it comes to the linguistics, the languages, and the original text, what the original ancient Greek actually says, I think he's absolutely right. And it bothers me that we've got this shit creeping in again of, okay, we got supernatural powers. There's actual intelligent supernatural entities, the same way that we have been thinking about demons and God and Michael and Gabriel and all that shit. I don't want to bring that back. I think that's just destructive at this point. Being someone that's from a much broader truth community, I'll call it, outside of theological study, right? Or Ancient tech study. Oh shit. I'm in the middle of the road, y'all. I'm finna die. I see a safe zone. Watch this. Oh shit, he's standing in the way. I'm trusting y'all. Don't hit me. I should have went. Damn it, dumbass. Now see how it's dangerous out here trying to produce content to help you people understand things. But knowledge is power, y'all. And I gotta get across this damn road. Hurry up. Now see, I'm fast enough. I could take a chance to win that white truck and that Jeep. I'm gonna wait. Somebody's gonna want to get over here in this left turn lane, so I'm going. Oh! Can't get me. I'm too fast. All right, I'm finna have to stop this. But yeah, I had to mention to John Filax. I'm fixing to start just putting stuff out like this. I've been really frustrated. I'll be honest with y'all. I've really drained. One of the reasons I'm drained right now is because of the energy I've spent over the past 11 years. I'm reading books. The two Admiralty. I need to. Somebody remind me in comments or something to talk about what I read in those two books about Admiralty courts. Please. My God, it's huge shit. Anyway, I got to turn this off. Got to buy cigarettes at the gas station, and then CVS is way down there somewhere. I might do a third one today. Who knows? I don't give a shit. Love y'all. Even Cuckoo and Doo-Doo and Dum Dum and Some. Bye.